an idea to talk might be helpful, because I've considered cubist, surreal, the existential. So just for a story that's true, we did have what we thought were like people that were animals. You know, they just couldn't have. We never trained them though either. We never taught the people how to read. We didn't do that. It was a different time, way different time. And I do think that the South was partially very scared of their way of life changing, in such that they depended on the slaves to make money. I mean, to support their families, build their houses. And that's how Thomas Jefferson, he didn't want slaves, but he had to have them to build UVA and Monticello. There was just, couldn't figure out a different way. People died in childbirth. It wasn't the same. If a lady made it through childbirth, that was just fortunate, because they just died all the time. They didn't have antibacterial measure. So, but it was just a different time. And I know my uncle came back from the Civil War, and because the slaves had gone, most of them, there were still some hanging out, the house help. He went into the cows to take care of the cows, and he got gored by a bull, and it broke his hip. So he didn't really know what he was doing. He didn't really have a lot of information, because of the way the job hierarchy was. And they may have beaten their slaves. I don't know. I don't know about that yet. They probably did. I mean, they were not nice people. Raped them. I don't know that either. I could have some brothers and sisters in Gilpin. So back in those days, they didn't have hip replacement, so he just couldn't walk. And we have a wheelchair. It's caned. It's an old-fashioned wheelchair, and we have a hook over the bathtub. We have a large car. He stayed upstairs all the time, and he killed himself. He just got a gun and shot himself. So, you know, our family, people think we're wealthy. We just held on to the land because it was paid for before the Civil War. It was a bigger piece of land when it was really cheap. And we farmed. You know, we were farmers. And it was normal back then to have so many kids, and my great-grandma had 8, so she had a pretty big house. And the slaves built it, of course, and it had an outdoor kitchen, because you didn't have the kitchen connected because of fires. And I do think at one time the Union came onto our property as a story, and one of the Civil War guys was hiding in the chimney, which is not that big. He must have been a kind of small guy. But to me, the motive that I have to try and get to understand people is just to make it better. You know, what can we do in this universe, in this society, in the United States, to make lives more valuable? And I think one thing we're really missing out on is education in the arts in public schools, because, you know, you won't go to theater. There's a Globe Theater here. It's kind of modeled on the Globe in Petersburg. We could have theater there. My family was a little bit involved in the arts, but not the modern era. We have a room with some paintings, and my sister has bought one of my paintings and put it in there. But, you know, those were desperately difficult times in many, many ways. I know even up to my granddad's brother, my granddad was a doctor from Vanderbilt, but his brother was a baby, the first one, and they took him out to the farm, and because the Birmingham was so hot, there was no AC, no electric fans, you had to swelter. And he had diarrhea, so they thought the way to cure that was to stop giving him liquids, and he died of desiccation. So, I mean, that's in a supposedly well-educated family. You know, they still didn't know all the stuff they know now. But the story of the farm is one in which I'd like to share with the people that were so cruelly enslaved and segregated, and that's just in this generation they were segregated. So I think most people nowadays want to make it better.